I need to get this off my chest to someone. I am on the cusp of leaving my partner, James, because of his unusual relationship with his mother.
Oh, a tale as old as time.
James is generally a really decent, lovable man. I'm with him for a reason. But as soon as his mum Tina is in the picture, he turns into this passive and meek little boy. He's not a 31-year-old man around his mum, and it gives me the ick, which is a problem given we're around her quite a bit. Worst of all, if his mum and I disagree on something, he will generally lean towards her side and advocate for what she means, rather than have my back. Some examples. Last year, we were talking about the idea that one day James and I might have children. We were talking about baby names, and Tina asked me what I liked. I told her Tom, and said I liked the flow of a one-syllable name like Tom with our hyphenated surnames. Well, she just about had a heart attack at that idea. She was so patronizing and cruel and said things like, "You're not actually going to torture the poor child with a double-barreled surname, are you?"
Oh.
I was stunned. James, despite having agreed with me many times behind closed doors that I have every right to give our future children my surname, I am giving birth to the child and carrying it in my body for 9 months,
Yeah.
No shit.
was silent. He did not say a word in my defense. He did not bother to tell Tina that he actually is on board with the plan. He actually said, "I know, Mum," in response to her at one point. I was seething.
Pathetic. He is pathetic. Sorry to name call.
Go off, Annabelle Lee.
Calls her out early.
Yeah.
Whoa, Annabelle.
I'm ready to go.
I love it. I love
She's
it.
firing. Let's go.
James only wants us to buy a townhouse in areas Tina thinks is wise. Funnily enough, all the suburbs in a 15-minute radius from her place.
That's great.
Interesting.
None of these suburbs are near our friends or our workplaces. Every time we find a place we like the look of on realestate.com.au, he sends it straight to Tina. He either FaceTimes her when we are doing the inspection or she comes along. When I pointed out that this was annoying, James said it made sense because his mum has a good eye. James has had to call Tina every day. Every single day, no exceptions, and the phone calls are long, at least 20 minutes. Tina weaponizes her loneliness against us and seems to have an unspoken rule that we see her at least once a week. If I ever indicate I can't come or simply don't want to, she will text me something irritating and attention-seeking, like, "Have I done something to hurt you?" It's suffocating. Tina hasn't had the easiest time. James's dad left her for a family friend before we got together, and the experience made her bitter against men her age and very needy towards her son. I love James, I do. But do I love him enough to deal with the bizarre family dynamic? Honestly, I don't know anymore. Is it fair or justified for a family member to be the deal breaker? Do I stay or do I go? I love my partner, Ben. We've been together for 6 years and were best friends before that for over 10 years in high school. Even though we're not engaged, we've essentially planned our wedding and we've been gearing up to buy a house. And so I recently put in an offer on a lovely house and I was so excited. All that was left was to be financially approved, and so I was hopeful that this would be the next step. ...
There's a ... on the letter, by the way, which means something bad's about to happen.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't meant to be. We didn't get finance approval. I was kind of shocked, to be honest. We had done well with savings, and transparently, I'd been given a substantial deposit from the bank of Mum and Dad, as well as earning $230K as a household per year.
Okay.
Nice.
But when I found out why we didn't get approved, I was truly devastated. My partner isn't great with his money, and I've always known that. I just didn't realize how dire it was. Defaults on his credit report, secret afterpay accounts, and his engagement ring savings account drained on frivolous purchases. He earns more than me and has no HEX debt, so I just assumed things he was buying was because he had more disposable income. But knowing now we're in no position to buy, when I thought we might be settling on a place in 2 to 3 months, is completely devastating. He doesn't know I know, but I've downloaded the documents he uploaded to our home loan application. I've taken a look at his bank statements and credit file and am well and truly across how dire his financial situation is. But he has no idea I'm across any of it to the level I am. How do I approach this with him when he's lied to me about it? When he's been this dishonest for so long? He's a beautiful person but is clearly struggling with managing money. And given money is the major reason for divorce, am I a fool to marry someone with such a reckless approach to their finances? I'm finding it stressful and we don't even have a mortgage and kids. What could the future hold? Do I stay or do I go? Daisy.
Am I in the wrong for ghosting my cheating fiance? So, for some context, I, 27 female, dated my ex-fiance Jonathan, 29 male, for 4 years, and we had been engaged for a couple months. It was a good relationship, and I truly thought that I would spend the rest of my life with him, but I guess I was just too naive to see the truth. To keep it short, I found out that he'd been cheating on me with a mutual friend for a couple months, and that group of friends in particular was covering up his affair. They were all acting strange, so I went through his phone and I found out that they had a separate group where they even made fun of me for not realizing. I was furious, and my first impulse was to berate all of them. However, I ended up deciding to just disappear from their lives. Any confrontation was clearly a waste of time with these people. When he went to work the next day, I packed everything I owned, took all the money that I put in our joint account, which was a lot since we were paying for our wedding, we were planning for a good honeymoon, and wanted to buy a house. I blocked them from everywhere, put my accounts on private, changed my number, and I went back to my hometown and stayed with my mom and stepdad. I was so mad that I even left my job right away. I told my friends and family what had happened, and then I decided to go on a big trip with some of the money that I had put in our joint account. I left for 3 months. I had the time of my life and came back home like 2 months ago. I was able to get a job here, and I decided to start dating again. It's nothing serious, but I have been seeing this nice guy for about a month. I'm just trying to put my life back on track. Anyway, recently my family and friends are telling me that my ex and our ex-mutual friends are bombarding them with texts on social media. They apparently want to know where I am and are asking how I'm doing, and they're saying what I did was childish and I should just talk to them at least. I have no intention of this. For me, it's a closed phase of my life, and I literally did nothing at all. I just left. They will never see my face again or hear from me, and I told my close circle to just ignore or block them. But am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for promising my son something that I have to break? So my son isn't like the typical boy. Well, he plays football, is athletic, flirts with girls, goes to parties, etc. But he's always been someone that really likes to take care of other people. It started when he was a child. We brought his sister home and he would sleep in her crib with her and take care of her as you would a parent. He wanted to be the one to feed her, play with her, put her to sleep. It was really adorable, but we put a stop to it because it got to the point where she only wanted to be around her brother and didn't care about her parents. She still prefers him, which is embarrassing, but at least she's not calling him dad anymore. He also always is saving animals and bringing them home. We're not big pet people, so we've never had pets before, but he has snuck a kitten in and nursed her in his room before we found out. His best friend has sort of a bad home situation, so he often does his homework for him, even though we tell him not to, and he brings him food that he cooks himself. It does stress me out that he seems to want to mother someone so bad. He always talks about how much he'd love a dog and how he's missing out on important childhood memories by not having one. He's begged us for a dog, but we've said no. While he says he'll care for it completely, we know that's not feasible because he's in school for 9 hours a day, and then he also has sports and extracurriculars. He also has friends that he hangs around, so we hardly see him. Having a dog is a big no. We explained this to him, but he's not happy about it. There's a giant lab that is a stray where we live, and a lot of our neighbors have been feeding and taking care of it. Yesterday, I came home and my son brought it inside, giving it a bath, and is training it with treats. I said no dogs inside, play with them outside, and kick both of them out. Later, my son came in to eat food. The lab was sitting right at the door, waiting for him to come back outside. His sister and him begged me to let them keep the lab, but I said absolutely not. Labs make a lot of mess, and that one has a lot of energy. When my son goes to sleep, he's sad because the lab is still waiting at the door. He says the dog shouldn't be kept outside his whole life. He asks me if the lab is out there by the morning. If he waits outside all night, can I keep it? I decide sure. All night, him and his sister kept checking the door to see if the lab was still there, and it was. But I wasn't worried because I thought that for sure it would be gone by the morning. But it wasn't. He woke up in the morning and opened the door, and the lab was still there. Of course, they were celebrating keeping their lab, but I had to tell him absolutely not. I only said that because I thought that he wouldn't be outside in the morning. My son said I'm breaking my promise and is upset at me. My daughter has been crying. So, am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for telling my husband's affair baby's family to either come to get the kid or I'm calling CPS? I'm 53 female and soon-to-be ex-husband Roger, 47, whom I forgave for his affair, came home with a baby 4 months ago. His girlfriend, 22, could not handle it anymore and brought the baby to him at work and left. To the best of his knowledge, she's in Spain. I allowed him to stay so long as I didn't have to do anything. Anything. Well, about a month ago, Roger had a heart attack. It didn't kill him, more's the pity, but he is very weak and incapable of doing anything for himself. Since he isn't up and about, he cannot care for this child. He also can't drop off and pick up his son at daycare. I've been helping, but I'm done. My kids are full grown. I shouldn't be having grandkids anytime soon. I do not have any desire to care for a baby. I told Roger that I want a divorce, and I contacted the mother's parents. I know the father through friends. I said that they had until Friday to come get their grandchild or I was calling Child Protective Services. They just left with the baby, but they scolded me for being so cold towards a baby that had done me no harm. Roger is recovering and I will be moving out. The house is in his name, but I have never contributed to it. I have the equivalent of 22 years of rent and interest put away. And as per our prenup, my savings are my own. I work and I don't need anything out of this marriage except myself. My kids tried telling me to stay and help their father. I said that they're welcome to come over and help him with cleaning himself and the baby. Both declined what I felt was a fair offer. I don't feel that I'm acting badly. However, Roger, our children, his child's family, and a few mutual friends think that I am. So, am I in the wrong? Am I in the wrong for flipping out on my mother-in-law and husband for eating all the food before I had eaten? Ever since I gave birth 4 months ago, so I have 4 kids total, my mother-in-law has been showing up whenever she wants, and whenever she's here, she always helps herself to whatever she wants. She has never offered to help me or the baby in any way, shape, or form. She's basically here to see her son, and that's it. Like about 3 weeks ago, I made a small pot of coffee, enough for 2 cups. I want to go nurse the baby while waiting, and at some point my mother-in-law shows up and lets herself inside. When I came out, she had drank the entire pot. I had no coffee grounds left. Or she's eaten my leftovers straight out of the fridge multiple times. And she's always like, thanks for the food, coffee, as if I offered it to her when I absolutely didn't, because all she's doing is making my life miserable. I told my husband to speak to her about it, and he told me that he did, and I truly don't think so. I spoke up last time when she was here, 3 weeks ago, and told her that she needed to stop helping herself because she's eating and drinking stuff that I wanted and or made for myself. She said, oh, I'm sorry, and then stopped coming around for a while. Well, today I made 4 homemade pizzas. I told the kids to come help themselves to dinner and that I had to go get the baby down for a nap real quick and we'd be right back. Well, it took me 45 minutes because the baby is fussy. She just had shots. I come back and all of the pizza was gone, and my mother-in-law and husband are sitting there chowing away. I just said, are you effing kidding me right now? My husband asked what was going on, and I said, you guys couldn't have even left me an effing slice? Sure, let's feed the effing neighborhood before I even go to eat. That's so awesome of you guys. Thanks. And start to walk off. My oldest son, 13, comes in and he's like, Mom, I left you out a plate. I put it right on the counter, and walks over to grab it, and lo and behold, that's gone too. Mother-in-law said, I thought it was left over from dinner. So my son's apologizing to me even though he did nothing wrong, while my mother-in-law and husband just stand there. They literally aren't saying anything. So I looked at both of them and said, you both need to leave now. My husband then decides to speak, saying it was an honest mistake and that no one meant any harm, and said I was making a mound out of a molehill, which honestly just pissed me off further. So I snapped again and said, yeah, except every time your effing mother comes here, I end up going without because she eats or drinks my portion of everything. But sure, let's defend someone taking food out of my mouth, shall we? His mother just storms out of the house, and my husband looks at me like I'm insane. So I say, quick, chase her, and walk out. My husband thinks that I'm effing mental and that this all could have been resolved if I had acted like an adult. He won't come home, but at this point, I don't even want him to come home because it means his mother will stay away. So, am I in the wrong?